I've said it before that Modern Warfare 4 has a few different levels of interest for me. Campaign, stoked for. Looking forward to seeing where that narrative goes, unfolds, and perhaps concludes. Multiplayer is kind of there for me until I get hands-on. Admittedly, after 18 to 19 years of playing the same core loop, it doesn't have the same spark as it did, but if it's good, who knows? And then DMZ, well, that's what I'm most intrigued by. Since Modern Warfare 2 and the DMZ beta, I said that it had great bones. It added the foundation to be the premier entry point into further digging for enthusiasts and newcomers to the extraction genre. It absolutely could have been fleshed out more and more, but that appears to be what they're attempting to do with DMZ this time around in Modern Warfare 4. However, there's one major prevailing question when you look at the landscape of extraction shooters to date. Where on the spectrum of PvPvE will it truly stick its landing? Is it PvP primarily focused with a few annoying enemy AI outside of the scope of your attention, or will it be leaning more so towards PvE, cooperative, objective-oriented play, working together with other operators to do operations? Today, I want to talk about this because while it may not have been publicly stated in any official blog post just yet, Infinity Ward has actually already made it perfectly clear their intentions for the mode and what we can expect. Drop your thoughts down below, drop a like if you enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe for more Modern Warfare 4, DMZ, and other FPS content. We've got a crazy busy fall upcoming, and hey, if you'd like to chat directly, we're live here on the channel quite a bit as of lately, but I'd love to have you hang out over there as well. Finally, check out my friends over at Advanced GG, where code Espresso can get 10% off your entire order, but more on that a little later. For now, let's get into it. So let's set the stage a little bit. DMZ didn't really find its footing in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of the genre, I should say. Since day one, I believe that this had great bones for the genre. Was it anything industry-leading, game-changing? No, but it was about recognition. Call of Duty is and has been for a long time the easily digestible game. It's pick up and play. It's not the most complex, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just easy to play whether you're a veteran or beginner. It just reaches all kinds of audiences in that subgenre of FPS games. We've seen time and time again that it's massively boosted elements of subgenres just by name association, most recently being the Battle Royale genre of Warzone, being a leader there in the market that wasn't necessarily in its infancy anymore. Some would even argue that it was a late adopter and late to that market, but it boomed because of the name, ease of access, fluidity, and of course other factors outside of that. I'm sure a global pandemic and everybody being at home looking for something to do and play helped that out initially as well. But DMZ was and could have been the same. It was a generic but easy to approach extraction shooter in a genre that up until that point was all about tactical and hardcore natures. You didn't need to have any extensive knowledge on individual ammo types, magazines, scopes, and so on and so on. You could just pick it up and play. It's like discovering a genre of music with the most famous of genre artists, getting interested in and then finding a really niche band the deeper you go and the deeper you look with your interests. Call of Duty would have been that genre's famous artist. Then something like the deeper you go, I don't know, Hunt Showdown or something being the more niche version of that. Now, they had something of a great framework, but just didn't honestly capitalize on it for whatever reason. They had updates here and there, and honestly, notable ones that included map inclusions, for what it's worth, Building 21, Ashika Island, Vondel, Koshi Complex, and even updates to Al Mazrah as time went along. But come Season 4, I believe it was, they had a complete overhaul to the UI that actually set it up for the features and framework that made sense to have a deeper meaning to the game, like a wallet system for the progression, stuff like that, that after that they just, for whatever reason, didn't update it at all. The only update beyond that was the Haunting update for Al Mazrah, which brought along with it some subsidiary content, but beyond that, nothing else. Modern Warfare 4's DMZ appears to be a genuine identity shift and having a clear vision for how they want to handle themselves. However, with the recent extraction shooters, the concept of PvE comes up a lot. Tarkov has a PvE mode. Marathon recently introduced its experimental PvE mode. Arc Raiders has not introduced a PvE mode, but a huge subset of that player base remaining wants PvE to be a thing, so with that in mind, you gotta wonder, will DMZ have PvE, or at least have any sort of focus on PvE? It's so interesting to me because in a strictly observational way, I have no dog in this fight one way or the other, but the inherent game mode and the structure of extraction shooters is PvPvE. But in recent times, and the sort of more mainstreamification of all this kind of stuff, it's kind of reignited the conversation and interest in co-op looter shooters. PvE in this essentially just being that. I love the genre as much as anybody, but it's kind of fascinating to see that argument for when the underlying function has always really been environmental and other player threats. But will DMZ have any sort of PvE basis? That's where we can flash back to pre-reveal. In May, some creators and press got to go out to Infinity Ward Studio to talk about the game, get some information early, and play it. I was not one of those people. I ended up being a part of a secondary group that got to watch the sort of information over a video Zoom. So same information, but just no hands-on impression or genuine thoughts on the gameplay just yet. Beta is still my first impression here and what will be upcoming. But during this presentation, we did have a segment on DMZ in which this topic was explicitly brought up. Heading up DMZ this year are Joe Secott and Jeffrey Smith, who led this part of the showcase. Secott said, and I quote, "PvP is the bread and butter," in reference to Call of Duty. So not immediately dismissing the idea of PvE in some capacity, but certainly not mincing any words when it came to the expectations. The follow-up was a deeper dive into the underlying systems and what would include saying, quote, "We wanted to make sure PvP was as rewarding as it could be, so we developed a new bounty system. The way this works is as you go in, if you go into a match and you're killing other players, not in self-defense, you're actually going after other players and killing other players, you start to develop a reputation behind the scenes. Kill enough players and eventually a bounty will be automatically put on your head, and if someone kills you and they pick up your dog tag, they're going to see that that dog tag has a bounty and they can extract with that to get that reward. If you keep killing players and keep leveling up that bounty, eventually you cross into the wanted status. What that means is that other players in match who want to be bounty hunters can pay intel to pull out the tablet, get the location, and go hunt them down. So we developed an ecosystem that allows players to be the best bounty hunter or best killer. We're working on leaderboards to help surface this. So we'll have global leaderboards that memorialize the top 50 players, top 50 bounty hunters, and top 50 killers each week, and as the week goes on, you'll see players fall off as they get killed. We also have friend leaderboards so that you can compete with your friends to see who the best bounty hunter or who can be the best killer. So not only is PvP encouraged, but DMZ will be leaning hard into those PvP elements. With DMZ 2.0, or I guess just the full-fledged DMZ, we're gonna have new foundational systems in place. Firstly, it seems like there will be some sort of aggression score, not necessarily matchmaking, as we'll touch on in a second. That's not necessarily something that we'll see inherently there for how you match up with players, but there will be a differentiation in these systems of bounty hunters and killers that tracks whether you are defending yourself or if you're actually picking a fight, if you're instigating, if you're antagonizing other players. That will be something that is taken into account. But bounty hunting and killers, specific types of playstyle will emerge. You'll have those people that are like the chaotic good or chaotic bad. Those people that want to bring order to Hajin, where they're taking out these people that are terrorizing others as bounty hunters. But the killers, well, they're just loose cannons. They could be out there for blood no matter what. But this is inherently baked into the game. With special rewards also being associated, we don't quite know what this will be, but they did mention explicitly rewards for taking out the bounty tag of a player that is wanted. Now, in DMZ's beta, it was just a different valuation of the player that it belonged to, being tethered to successful exfils in a row. Bronze was your standard worth 500 in cash, that was just a fresh tag. Silver was 2 successful exfils in a row worth 5,000. Gold was 5 successful exfils worth 10,000, and then Damascus was your highest level of dog tag available at 10 plus successful exfils worth 50,000. Not to mention, if taken in the beta, it would also mark the player's location holding that dog tag for any remaining squad mates alive. So you could see who killed your squad mate and then track them down. It wasn't necessarily a live ping, but updating every couple of seconds that gave you a general vicinity of where a player would be. Whether or not that type of thing also is included on top of that, we don't quite know, but there will be apparently special rewards for how PvP and the dog tags are handled. And of course, leaderboards, who doesn't want to grind that out? The way they mentioned about this players falling off and dropping off as they're killed is certainly pretty cool. Now, that's not to say, though, that there can't be organic interactions that are indeed friendly, but it's not going to be prioritized or shifted in much of any capacity. No dedicated PvE mode, no aggression-based matchmaking that we see like in Arc Raiders. Nothing like that is to be expected. Again, there is going to be some intrinsic sort of underlying value that will differentiate you from being on that wanted status by just defending yourself or having had actually hunted down players. That will be something that's taken into account, but it won't matchmake you with players like that. You can absolutely test your luck and be friendly with other operators, perhaps finding some squads that will want to do operations together, but unlike some other games out there at the moment, you're going to have your head on a swivel at any moment's notice. That could be potentially something that sways people away from the game, or maybe is something that really brings people back to it. That being one of the magical points of like early Arc Raiders, is you could end up having one of those engagements that was super friendly with other people, but then have to fight for your life 5 minutes later into the raid. Really, it's all up to pure random chance and I guess the other raiders you may encounter. So while still a little, not necessarily off record, but something that wasn't explicitly stated in an official announcement just yet, DMZ will have a hardcore PvP focus, where that's one of the main pillars of the game of Call of Duty and, by extension, DMZ, but it won't certainly be the only way to play. But keep your head about you. So that said, just wanted to talk a little bit about this because I feel like when we're streaming ARK or doing ARK content here as of recently, that's been one of those things that comes up of like, why isn't there a PvE mode just yet? And so while leaning into transitioning a bit into DMZ and what I'm excited for out of Modern Warfare 4 and that offering, I think the question is absolutely valid. And I have seen a lot of people ask this already. So I want to talk to you about what we know so far. But that said, that's where we're going to wrap it up. Before we do, a quick heads up, we've partnered with our friends over at Advanced GG, a bit under the radar here the last few months, but we're ramping things up now going into a crazy busy fall with multiple large game updates for games like ARK Raiders and future seasons of Battlefield 6, new launches in Modern Warfare 4 and GTA 6, and everything in between. Advanced is the healthier energy supplement option. I use it as my daily comparable cup of coffee, currently drinking the Raspberry Lemonade and Magic Rainbow Sherbet as two of my personal favorite flavors that I'd highly recommend. And on that note, we've actually co-branded the Rainbow Sherbet along with a few other items on their site, like a 26-ounce ice shaker cup. But for real, I love this stuff, and if you're looking for a replacement for your own cups of coffee, give this a try, check it out, or grab a restock here before the craziness of all the games and updates coming later this fall. And if you decide to, Code Espresso can get 10% off your entire order, but no pressure at all. I just appreciate you checking it out, and of course, checking out the video. But anyways, that's where we're gonna wrap it up. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of this? Do you like the more so PvP focus on this, with the E of PvPvE being a maybe not necessarily afterthought, but not being the only thing that's focused on here? Or would you like to see a PvE mode at some point within DMZ and Modern Warfare 4? Let me know your thoughts. But if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare 4 and other FPS content. We got a very busy fall upcoming. I'd love to have you in the community. For now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.